Hey, Kurt Curtis coming at you from the Full Octane Garage, and today we have an interesting project. I'm sure a bunch of you out there have the old style halogen 300 watt floodlight packages. I have a really nice stand that has two 300 watt halogen lights on it. The only problem is with those halogen lights is they generate a ton of heat and the bulbs continually go bad. So I'm getting a little fed up with it. I would really like to reuse my existing stand, so I went shopping on our friendly Amazon site and I found a 2-pack of these 60 watt LED floods, so they use less energy, but they give you the same capability as the 300 watt halogen bulbs. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to retrofit our existing stand and electrical system with two new bulbs. Let's open the package and see what we got. So this is a 2-pack and it was $41.99 delivered via Amazon, and down in the bottom I will have some links to these lights and the typical Amazon box in a box. These are a very narrow profile light. Now I do believe these lights are a little bit wider than my existing lights. I'm hopeful that I'm not going to have any issues on the stand. It does come with a mounting bracket, which I should be able to reutilize the same single hole that I had in my existing bracket, and hopefully wire my 110 into my common switch and magic should happen. So let's get right to it. Now the one thing I did mention about these existing halogen shop lights is they generate a tremendous amount of heat. I've had this bulb on for probably a minute and a half. We're going to take some measurements and kind of do a comparison to see how much heat this generates compared to the new LED bulbs. So right now it's about 188 degrees. We'll monitor it for a little bit. 209 degrees. 221 and climbing. 249 degrees. 264 degrees, and that's why they put these heat shields on these lights, because they generate so much heat. If they fall over, they're not terribly safe. They could probably ignite something with this amount of heat. We're going to see kind of how much more we can get. 298 degrees and still climbing. 330 degrees. I'm going to leave it there and tell you these things are hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some retrofitting. We're going to try to wire new switches into these. That'll be a little bit more complex, because what they've done with the backs of these lights, as you look at them, they have a switch on each one of these lights, and it's a 2-mode switch. It actually has a low and then a high and then an off. I don't know if the multi-mode switch is going to work with the LEDs. We're going to give it a shot. I'm going to try to take this switch and retrofit it somewhere on the stand so that we can utilize an on and off switch for each two of the lights. The one thing I have run into a little bit of an issue at, even just looking at it, is I am able to get the light to mount on the stand. The problem is you'll notice that I can lean this light forward. On the new LED lights, without a modification of the bracket, which I am considering, you can only go straight up and down, so it cannot lean forward. It can go backwards or it can go straight. So we're going to look and see how that application works. We may have to come back and build another small bracket. It's pretty simple. Probably do it with a couple of dollars worth of thin steel. So stick with us. We're going to do some video on actually changing the electronics in this and rewiring these. Okay, as I mentioned, this has two lights on it, and one of the lights does not work, one does. What I'm going to try to do is change out the light that doesn't first, and then we can do a real comparison on the pros and cons of this setup. Now, safety first, always make sure you unplug the wires. So, just as evidence, I do have a plug here, and it is not plugged in. Not sure what these boxes are going to look like, but it's going to be interesting to see how this works. They are secured onto the lights themselves, so I'm going to have to see if I can get them off. Okay, so very cool. Looks like they're just screwed onto the light, so I believe I can replace these somewhere on the stand by drilling a couple of holes. And what is amazing is these things generate a ton of heat, and look at the small wires that they actually plug in here. I'm going to have to snip these wires off and put new caps on these, so bear with us while we get some parts. Okay, I'll be right back with the wire cutters. Okay, we're going to snip these wires off so that we can pull the light assembly off. That was just screw dropping, ground wire. Okay, and this is your switch assembly. Okay, and we are free. Okay, all there is a single screw to hold the whole light assembly on. We're going to unscrew that. And we're going to get this old junk out of the way. Now, as you see from the new light, it has this bracket. The bracket was straight. I had to oblong it a little bit to give it enough room for this bolt to go through. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and bolt this guy to the housing. Tighten it down good. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to be able to stand this light straight up and down, but we are not going to be able to tilt it any further forward. So we can go up or we can go this way, but because of the surrounding edges of the light, we're not able to push it down. So what we would have to do, if we wanted it to turn 100 or 90 more degrees, we could make a wider bracket here, put some spacers on these ends, and then the light would be able to tilt down. And I honestly think I probably will do that, but for now, we're just going to get this thing working and see how it compares. Okay, what we've done here is, for ease of time's sake, we've gone ahead and connected our green source wire from the plug of the light to the green source wire of the light, and that's actually the ground wire. Then, coming in from source, we have a white hot lead, and we have it tied to the white hot lead going into the light, and that's tied down already. And then we have the black neutral, and the black neutral comes in and goes into the red and blue of the switch, actually. And then from the red and blue of the switch, this makes a determination of whether it is feeding a low voltage or a high voltage switch, and it comes out the black wire, and we're going to come source black into this switch here. And now we're going to plug the light in and see what happens. Okay, so we're going to click it once, and the light does come on. Click it twice, it gets bright. When we click it once, it looks like the LEDs flicker just a little bit, so the low power is probably not going to be our friend. The high power looks like it does just fine, and then we can click it and it turns off. So we're going to button this up, tie it up, and then we're going to do a heat test to see how much heat each of these lights generates. Okay, as we promised, we're going to do an infrared heat test on the halogen versus the LED. I've had these on for about a minute and a half. We're going to start doing some samples and we'll read them out. The halogen is 173 degrees. The LED is at 80. We'll watch it and see if it climbs. We know the halogen will climb. Okay, the LED is at 83. The halogen is already at 225 degrees, over twice as hot as the LEDs. So you know it's using a lot more energy, and also it's quite a bit more dangerous. I can put my hand right in front of the LEDs, no problem. I put it in front of the halogen, and yeah, you can definitely feel the heat. Halogen's still holding at 237. LEDs 85. Okay, the halogens are at 288, still climbing. I think before we ran a test, I think we were somewhere over the 300 range by the time it finished out. Still 85 degrees on the LEDs. And we're already at 303 degrees on the halogens. So what I'm going to say is that this is quite a success story. They're very inexpensive to purchase and retrofit. It takes 20 minutes of your time to retrofit one. The other one will take you another 20 minutes. I would say and highly recommend that you do this. Safety, energy, and heat is going to be a huge savings and a huge benefit to going with the LED lights and retrofitting your halogens. Not to mention the longevity and lifespan is going to be quite a bit more. We're going to have links in the bottom of this video to where you can purchase your LED retrofits off of Amazon just like we did. Use our video as a reference. If you have any questions, leave us some comments, ask us some questions. We're happy to help. We are not certified electricians. We're just home Joes that are following some instructions. And make sure that you follow safety tips, unplug everything before you actually work on it. Make sure there are no bare and exposed wires when you close and button everything up. And I believe this is going to be a very easy project for you, and you're going to enjoy every minute of it once it's complete. So thanks for being with us at the Full Octane Garage. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends.